looking around, does anybody really know what the progressives and the Democrat Party are complaining about? Because I don't know anymore. It just seems like anything. Their food is too hot. Their coffee isn't correct. Teslas are driving around. It smells funny out here. The weather's warmer than usual this time of year, so it must be climate change. I'm going to die in 5 years. I don't even know what to believe from these people. They're walking around aimlessly, shouting to the sky, screaming left and right. They're complaining they're getting money back in their pocket. They're upset with Doge. They're upset with Donald Trump. They're upset with the tariffs. They're just the most unhappy people you've really ever seen in your life. It makes you wonder, are they happy about anything? Anything at all? It is truly mind-blowing. It really is. But Patriots, it's good to see you. And you know what? Enough of me rambling. We're going to get right into the news today because sometimes we take a little bit too long to jump into the thick of it, folks. It's good to see all of you. And yes, we did have an earthquake while I was working yesterday. I did feel it, absolutely. And I didn't even flinch. I just sat there and I kept teaching. I was like, all right, we're going to continue to keep going here. Well, let's jump into the morning brief here. We have American supercomputers, Iran talks, and well, tax day is today, folks. Make sure you get your taxes in. Pay the taxes. It's funny because the progressives are going, well, I'm not going to pay my taxes. Okay. Let me know how that works out for you. You don't go pay your taxes. These people think that Donald Trump's going to abolish. Some people think that Donald Trump's going to abolish the income tax. I don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong. And I kind of hope I am wrong. I don't want to pay taxes, but I don't think that's going to happen. The tech titan Nvidia makes a major investment in the United States as President Donald Trump tweaks the terms of his tariffs. The Trump administration continues to pursue a nuclear deal with Iran, holding after the first direct talks with the country in years. By the way, we were told it was supposed to be indirect per Iran, so we'll actually dive into that one a little bit. And in April 15th, tax day, how would the big, beautiful bill affect taxes going forward? That's what we need to know, because if this doesn't get through, well, Donald Trump's tax cuts go bye-bye. So next year, or I guess and theoretically during this time right now, when you file next year for this year, it's going to be rough. You're going to be kicked in the tush. So new tariffs, new factories. Here we go. President Donald Trump announced new tariffs on Monday as tech giant Nvidia announced a historic investment in American chip manufacturing. As we reported yesterday, the White House said it planned to offer tariff exemptions for certain tech imports like laptops and smartphones. This was what a lot of people were talking about yesterday, where they said the communication isn't consistent. First, you say that there is going to be tariffs on laptops, smartphones, basically tech stuff, TVs. And then now you come back and say, well, it's actually going to be delayed. We have an exemption now, but it's going to be in a whole nother bucket of tech goods that will be announced later on. And the left couldn't understand that. And I don't think any of us are really shocked that the left couldn't understand that. They can't understand a lot of things, clearly. Like money coming back in your pocket's a good thing. Getting rid of the bureaucracy for people that were never elected, dictating what you have to do and basically say in some cases. We're still waiting to hear what sort of rate they'll face, but it's a big move. The United States imported nearly $850 billion worth of semiconductors last year. Yeah, can we stop importing that and maybe create that? That would be nice. In a major victory for the White House, tech giant Nvidia announced a $500 billion investment in American manufacturing over the next 4 years. The company will set up shop in Arizona and Texas. Of course they will. It has commissioned more than 1 million square feet of manufacturing space there. When production is complete, Nvidia says it will be able to construct supercomputers entirely in the United States. Now, here's the other thing. People keep talking about American labor, that American labor is really expensive. Absolutely it is. But we're not looking at right now. We're not even looking at necessarily a couple years from now. And I think a lot of other people are looking at 5-10 years into the future, where Elon Musk and others are having full-fledged robots walking around with fingies and feet going to be making all this stuff instead of human beings. would still be nice to have the damn factory here and producing something and then able to export that out for something of a cheap cost because it's cheap labor because they're damn robots. And there you go. So now you have manufacturing back here. You may not be hiring American workers because they're too expensive and they price themselves out of the market, but you hired the robotics to do it. And now you have that stuff happening here. You're taxing the revenue that's happening here, or at least the income that's taking place. And then now you're also outsourcing, or I should say outsourcing, you're shipping that out to other countries. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. That way I'm not relying on China if, God forbid, if something were to happen and bleep hits the fan. Now, a lot of people were focusing on China as well because China manufacturing is crippled right now, by the way. They are effed, man. It is bad. They are selling off equipment right now over there in China just to stay afloat. They don't know what to do. They're falling apart. I'm not saying this is everybody, but we'll be hurt as well with the China tariffs. But China is going to be hit way harder than we will. China, they don't know where to sell their goods. We're the only country that could buy all that stuff. There's no other country on this planet that could buy that many freaking Nike sneakers for no reason. Just because we want to buy them, because we think they're cool to sit on a shelf. We don't, that's how awesome America is, that we buy shoes, not to wear, no, to either collect or to sit on a shelf. There's no other country on earth that does that to this capacity. So now they don't know what to do. They're sitting on $50 million worth of Nikes. And they're looking around, go, well, they're just sitting on the shelf. Nobody's willing to buy them. Well, of course not, because they're too expensive. And they have been too expensive for quite some time. So what is China saying? Well, we'll go to Europe. We'll go to all these other countries. Let's do business with them. Okay, sure. Go rip them off then. That's fine because you steal like $1 trillion a year of IP from us all the time. So you're just going to go do that to our allies and they're willing to actually allow you to do that? Sure. Well, I guess they love being bent over and reamed in the tushy. So yeah, maybe they do. Yeah, go to our European allies. And you go have them buy as much goods as we're buying, which ain't going to happen, by the way. I'm going to say it again. There's no country on earth that could buy that much goods in the capacity that we do. No country. You can buy Europe. Whoa. The United Kingdom is just a conglomerate of different countries. Okay. It's like the United States, except it's not nearly as big as the United States. Okay. You could go up and down the United Kingdom like you could in the state of California. They're being hit hard. They are being hard, really hard. So they're going to be building some manufacturing here in Arizona, Texas, which is a great move. We need to have in that, strengthen things up. Nvidia controls almost the entire sector, by the way, which is one of the most important sectors in the world. Not only is it the most important sector, but we need that stuff for our artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence needs power. And by the way, when you need power, you need to start building it. And how are you going to build that if you don't have any manufacturing here? And by the way, that TikTok that I uploaded the other day, Patriots, still no answers. Still no answers. There's people that are giving me answers, but answers to questions I never asked in the first place, which is typical of them. They'll give you something, never answers the question because they got through their entire education without either like ever answering the damn prompt. Oh, good job, Billy. Yeah, you didn't answer my question, but because everybody else is going to be pissed off and called me a racist, here's your entire points. You spelled everything wrong, including your name. But for the sake of equity, woo, you get full points. You learned something. Well, we also have, speaking of knuckleheads, Iran nuclear talks here. Let's get into the nitty gritty on this one, because I was told by Iran that they were indirect talks. And then Trump saying that they were direct talks. That was also echoed by Caroline Leavitt during the White House press briefing. The Trump administration had its first direct contact with Iran. I love how we treat them like they're aliens. We had on the eve of April 14th, Daddy Trump made contact with the aliens. First step in an attempt to hammer out a nuclear deal, President Trump is pushing for a full dismantling of Iran's nuclear program. A follow-up meeting is set for this Saturday. Iran ain't going to do that. No way. Are you serious? Come on, man. Come on, Trump. They'll tell you they'll fully dismantle it. Oh, come on, dude. I don't believe that one bit that they're willing to do that. The meeting was the start of the first direct talks between the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran in recent years and current years. Axios is reporting that there was a 45-minute face-to-face conversation in Oman between U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and the Iranian foreign minister. So they met face-to-face. That's pretty direct talks. But maybe, just maybe, their backs were turned to each other so that it wasn't actual direct talks, and just so Iran could say that it was indirect talks. Can you imagine them just talking to themselves back to back? I think a face-to-face meeting helps to make sure that there is a less room to cause confusion and also to drag out negotiations, which is what the Iranians are famous for doing, correct? Independent Women's Forum senior fellow, a former deputy envoy to combat anti-Semitism under President Trump, told Morning Wire the very fact that the Iranians came to the table is considered an embarrassment in the Iranian culture because this is the regime from the 1979. From its very inception of coming into power, is born of the original sin of taking our American embassy staff hostage. Supreme Leader Khomeini apparently had to be convinced to even participate in talks with the United States. Remember, this is the country. Where is it at? Where's Iran's name at? The Iranian government said, with the supreme leader, by the way, that the chant "Death to America" is not a slogan in Iran. It's a policy. I'm going to say that again because I think that went over some people's heads. Death to America is not a slogan. And they had to emphasize this in Iran because they parade in the streets chanting "Death to America." And they try to light the they do light the American flag on fire, as well as they'll make piñatas, basically, of Donald Trump or whoever's president. And they'll burn that stuff in the streets, again, in the masses, chanting "Death to America." And then you go over to their governmental chambers, and they're also chanting that. So just picture, when Donald Trump does his speech in front of Congress for the State of the Union or whatever, just picture Donald Trump not there and just the Senate just chanting "Death to America" or "Death to Iran" or another country. That's what they do. And so he had to come out and say, look, folks, to his people, just so you're clear, you just chanting that isn't just a slogan we chant. That is a policy that we actually follow. And now it makes sense why they give all that money to terrorism, to go after our troops in Iraq, to go after the boys around the world, to go after our merchant vessels, to shoot at our ships 40, 50, 60 times that doesn't ever get covered in the news because they want to seize. They don't want you to exist. And the Democrats, they don't get that. Can't we just live in peace and harmony? No, we can't, because their head isn't on straight. These people are crazy. Iran's influence in the region has been steadily declining after a series of military and economic setbacks. Historically, Iran has used proxy groups like Hamas and Houthis, Hezbollah, and even the Assad regime of Syria to exert pressure on foreign enemies like Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United States, arming and funding militants to create a thin veneer of separation between itself and open warfare. However, Hamas has taken tens of thousands of casualties on the ongoing war in Gaza, and Hezbollah command structure has been decimated by surgical Israeli strikes. Hezbollah fighters played a crucial role in propping up the Assad regime in the Syrian civil war, and their collapse precipitated the ousting of the Assad government. Now, this isn't something that necessarily is a good thing, folks, because the guy that's replaced it is basically a terrorist himself. So you got rid of a bad guy and you just replaced him with a bad guy like we always see in the movies. Turkish-backed rebels, longtime Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad fled to Moscow last December. Well, meanwhile, Iran's economy has suffered under Trump's maximum pressure campaign of sanctions. The effort seems to have paid off. Well, we'll see about that. We'll actually see, because Iran allegedly's economy is teetering, nearly on the verge of collapse. I don't know how true that is. That's something that I'll have to flesh out. But it really is crazy to me that Democrats, I'm not sure if they think everybody is just faithful and good actors. I don't know if they actually think that there's evil out there in the world. I'm not sure. They might say in the fight and flight response that yes, there is evil, but I'm not sure if they fully believe it. I think they actually think the Iranian government might be good. I think they might actually think that the Iranian government are good people. Well, I mean, the people itself are good. The Iranian government is dog crap. I'm trying to watch my language. I'm trying to do some experimental stuff here on YouTube. I'm trying to go a whole episode without saying one bad word. And it's difficult. And I don't like censoring my speech. Today is one of America's least favorite days. It's tax day, folks. Get your taxes in. Shit, I had to owe money. It sucked. In this year, the eternal debate raging around taxes goes all the way to the top. Now, this is important because it affects all of us. Now, maybe the Iran building the nuclear warhead doesn't necessarily affect us, which I think it does, by the way, because they could, smuggle that into the U.S. and just have that one go off. And then you got a war on your hands. Or they could just wipe out Israel. That's always on the table because they hate the Jews over there. Well, if Donald Trump's tax cuts go away, you all instantly are going to owe 3% more. Just right then and there. That doesn't include removing the credits or the deductions, all that stuff. Okay. So this tax season, Congress is furiously negotiating a big, beautiful bill, which is what Trump calls it, to set the country's fiscal priorities. The draft legislation put forward by congressional Republicans would, among other things, make the tax cuts for President Trump's first term permanent, which we need. And as you saw in the video from the Dark MAGA podcast, which again, we will be doing Dark MAGA today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Some of you still like, I'm going to say it here. You know what? We're putting in the chat because some people, I think, misunderstand me. 4 p.m. That's when Dark MAGA is coming out. I'm on the West Coast, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm actually going to get into that, Jeff. You're jumping ahead. Simmer. It's open to everybody. So we'll be on X, YouTube, and Rumble. So come join me today, please. It's going to be probably our last Dark MAGA before I go on vacation Thursday. The Democrats are coming out and saying that Trump's tax cuts are only for his rich billionaire friends. These people are stupid. These people are idiots. They don't know anything about taxes. They could barely do their own tax. These are the people that go to, and I'm sorry if you go to Liberty Tax or H&R Block. You shouldn't, by the way. They'll scam you. But they're not even able to do their own taxes. If you can't do your own taxes, don't tell me how taxes work. To an extent. Well, why is it then that when you actually do the math, average American, that means all of us, the poor, the middle class, the upper class, everybody saved on average 3% originally when he put this into effect. By the way, he also messed with the brackets themselves, which helped you out. So when that goes away, guess who owes more money? And by the way, did you know Joey actually changed the brackets, technically, the intervals, without anybody knowing? We went into that years ago. So this is a good thing. This is what we needed. Both Democrat, Republican, Independent, no matter who you are. If you're American, this benefits you. But they don't want to believe it, right? They can't believe it because Trump did it. Joey couldn't do it. Why didn't Joey do it? Why didn't Joey, when he was in office, help the American people by giving them a tax cut? He talked about it slightly. Kamala Harris slightly talked about it. Remember how they're making all these, oh, I promise if you just elect me in the office 4 years, I'm not going to die. I'm sorry. When you elect me in office for 4 more years, I'm going to change everything. I just need more time. Now, you had enough time, Joe. You had more than enough time. Too much time in my eyes. Way too much time. Any family with children under the age of 17 is likely to benefit. Correct. Any wage earner is likely to benefit by the lower rates that would remain locked in place. Any worker for a corporation is likely to benefit because they would see their wages at a stable level or even increasing because the boss would have the money to be able to provide that. Now, that's the hope, right? That if you have more money in your pocket as a corporation, or if you have more money at the top, at the end, or at the bottom line, at the end of the day, that you could send that to the top, you can send that to the laborer and pass that down. That might not always be the case, especially if you're trying to invest in different areas of your business, but that might be possible. You might get a little bit of a bump, a little bit more money. Anyone who might want to pass along something like that to their heirs could. And can we stop taxing people giving money to their children? Can we also make that great again? If the bill isn't passed, Americans will face around $4 trillion tax hike. Which, look, okay, I don't like taxes, but if we did get a $4 trillion tax hike, maybe start paying down the debt. It might not be a bad idea to, at some point, by the way, if we don't get this under control, you think the taxes are bad now? All the patriots, you guys think the taxes are bad now? Wait till we got to start paying the interest. Well, I mean, we are paying the interest of $1 trillion, but imagine that's only going to go up, especially when you keep refinancing this stuff, which we have to refinance soon, by the way, $6 to $9 trillion worth of money. So if that has a higher interest rate, guess what happens with your overall interest? It goes up. And you're going to get to the point where you're actually never paying down that principal, all the while you're borrowing more money to just pay off the interest itself. And they do this on an individual level, by the way. These are called your payday loans. You know, those brick and mortar store that says you could get cash now at like a 200% interest rate. And so what you do is you got to pay rent. This really happens, by the way. Don't ever go into one of these stores. Don't ever. Seriously. Don't ever borrow money from these places. You will cripple your life. I've seen it. When I was an accountant, I've seen this. Actually, my buddy Tesh worked at one of these places and he would tell me horrible stories. You have somebody that needs to pay rent. They don't have money. They got to pay the rent or else they don't got a home. So they go to these places, these brick and mortar stores that will give you cash on hand at an exorbitant interest rate. Well, now you got $2,000. Sick. I can go pay my bills. Well, the next month comes around. Guess what? Guess what's still due? I know some of these people are shocked, but rent is due once again. All your bills are due once again. You still don't have the money, but you still have to pay off the previous debt that you had. So what do? They take out a loan to pay off the debt that they had, and they take out another loan to pay out the rent that they have. Well, guess what? Now you're screwed twice as much. So the next month comes around and guess what? Well, rent's due again. I know, shocker, mind blown. And you got to go what? Take out another loan to pay off the other loan. And to pay off the other loan that you had for the previous rent, but you got to take out another one for the next rent. And guess what? You cripple yourself. Now, what does that sound like we're doing here? That was on an individual level. What does that sound like on a governmental level? You think taxes are bad now? You haven't seen, I almost cussed. You haven't seen anything. And this is what is the future of America if we don't get this under control, by the way. This is the future that we are not just possibly leaving ourselves, but our children or our grandchildren. One of them, one of those groups of people, at some point, an American is going to have to pay off this. And they're not going to be able to because there's not enough money, because there's too much interest. The interest is actually accruing faster than we can actually pay it off. And you can say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Everything that you're seeing now, you can just say bye-bye to. Is there a birthday in the chat? Whose birthday is it? Is it Angel? Angel! Happy birthday! And good morning. Yes, absolutely. Happy birthday. Shout out to Angel over there. 21. That's crazy. Good for you. I have no idea, by the way, but I just say that. So if the bill isn't passed, Americans will face a $4 trillion tax hike. We need that, folks. We need that bill passed. Now, the hope is that we still are bringing money into the government through different ways because we're screwed. We are screwed. Now, you listen to me talk for 27 minutes. Let's get into some video clip here that's 5 minutes long. I'm hearing good things about this clip of the Oval yesterday. I'm hearing really good things about it. Donald Trump and is it Bukele? Is that how you say his name? Tear into CNN reporter who asked if illegal alien will be returned to the U.S. And I heard it's one of the greatest clips of 2025. So I'm getting it geared up. 1 second, Patriots. Oh, simmer down. Simmer down. It's a little fuzzy. But hit that like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing. And here we go.
Man who your administration says was mistakenly deported. The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Stephen Miller, wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, you know, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant, because they're totally slanted because they don't know what's happening. That's why nobody's watching them. But would you answer that question also?
We get Stephen? We get Stephen has an opportunity in front of the president of El Salvador to slap the media around. This guy's eating it up, dude. He is stoked. He knows Stephen. Oh, you know, I got goosebumps right now. I have goosebumps right now. Stephen, do what you do best, baby. Slap him around.
Yes, gladly. So, this Pan is an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As 2 immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan
But
to
the
ask for
Supreme
any
Court's
help to get him
asking
back?
to.
God, Steven, you're good. I'm fanboying, dude. I can't even talk. I'm drooling over Steven right now. I'm drooling like Joe Biden. Just, Steven, I love you. Sign my tits. Like, God, dude, he's freaking great, is he not? I can't. The volume's as high as it goes. Turn up your volume, Jimmy. Turn up your volume. It's as high as it goes.
And what was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
He's rubbing it in.
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen.
Did you see that he was agreeing? And by the way, Trump was like leaning in, going, dude, look at what this guy can do. Look at what Steven can do. He's impressed. These two, I'm telling you, man, this is like gangster territory right now. Start playing the Tupac, baby. Start doing a little Tupac. Hey.
Of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele,
Presidente
what is your-
Bukele?
can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm also going to suggest that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
How can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I
Yes.
smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
You can really see inside of.
What a preposterous question. Yes, sir. Mr. President, that is the American media for you, sir. It is a preposterous question, and our president has to deal with it every day. The stupid questions from these people. And thank you for finally coming into our country calling them stupid. I actually accept that. Thank you. What a boss, dude.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, you just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so they can go back to being the murder capital of the world. And that's
Trump loves it.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, you know,
Yeah,
released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Mark, again, something?
Yes, yes, sir. Oh, what is the greatest clip of all time? He fucking loves it. Oh, gosh damn it. I think I slurred it enough where maybe YouTube can't recognize it. They're sick people. And Trump is right. We say this all the time on the show. They would love criminals to come in and destroy our country because they're sick people, Bukele. They're sick. He's right.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual
Me neither.
is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple.
Correct.
End of story.
But CNN's too stupid to realize that. That clip deserves a like, by the way. That clip deserves a like. Wow. Caitlin Collins utterly destroyed by an entire room of MAGA. Well, can President Bukele weigh in on this? Expecting him to rub her shoulders and just smacking the crap out of her too. Yes, baby. Woo! Oh, this image says it all right here. And Trump was just smirking the entire time. Trump likes him. Trump likes him a lot. It's like that other guy from Argentina that loves Trump. These guys love Trump because, look, Trump gets it. Trump knows how to roll, baby. Trump don't mess. And neither do these other countries. And we don't get to see them enough. We always see them in their diplomatic form, right? We always see them kind of contradicting what Trump does. But it's funny that when you get in alpha males that actually know how to govern correctly and are there to protect their people, you know, it just works out that way of, you know, no nonsense. No nonsense. How does she still have a job? Right there with you. I'm right there with you. I don't know. So Democrat senators are, I guess, allegedly giving an ultimatum here. Oh, okay, sure. Bring back deported MS-13 terrorists, or I'll go to El Salvador themselves. Okay, it's better. So, not only are we being blessed, God, thank you, by the way. What do we do to deserve this, you guys? You know, we always want to win the lottery, but we won the lottery already, really, with Trump. Trump is not only deporting terrorists, but now I guess he's also, through a roundabout way, deporting Democrat senators. Now they'll come back, obviously, but you know what I mean, the silliness of it all. Oh, God, please go down there. A Senate Democrat announced plans to travel to El Salvador. Later, if an alleged MS-13 gang member who was detained last month in Maryland, deported and imprisoned in his home country, by the way, the dude's a citizen in his own country. And like Steven said, the Democrats legitimately want the Trump administration to kidnap somebody from another country and bring them back here. You couldn't write it if you wanted to. You couldn't even make it up. It's one of the mind-blowing things of all time. The Democrats actually want Donald Trump to kidnap somebody. Hold on, let me settle down here. Let me settle down, because this is up there. This is really up there with the craziness that we saw from the Biden administration and Kamala Harris going, well, I've never been to Europe. Breathe. Everybody breathe. Everybody calm down. Because it might get better. Chris Van Hollen issued a statement on Monday as an ultimatum. Oh, okay. Expressing his desire to speak with El Salvador's president, Bukele, who is currently in D.C. to meet with President Donald Trump. Kilmore Garcia never should have been abducted and illegally deported, and the courts have made clear the administration must bring him home now. However, since the Trump administration appears to be ignoring these court mandates, we need to take additional action. Oh, so they want us to kidnap somebody. Gotcha. Okay. He continued, that's why I've requested to meet with the president, Bukele, during his trip to the United States. And if he is not home by midweek, I plan to travel to El Salvador this week to check on his condition and discuss his release. You want to know why they want to check on his condition? Is because they're promulgating out there as a narrative that Donald Trump and the president of El Salvador deleted the guy. They say that he actually is not alive anymore, is what they're saying. And that's why they can't bring him back. We'll see. The Trump administration has accused Garcia, and by the way, if he is still alive, they'll never come out and say, oopsie, sorry, we were spreading misinformation. Sorry that we spread an entire narrative that was another hoax again. This very well could be another hoax on a grand scale, so much so it is such a hoax that they're willing to spend taxpayer dollars to fly this idiot all the way to El Salvador to see if somebody is there and discuss his release, of which the guy's already said on national television in the Oval Office that he's not going to release the guy and that he can't release the guy because he's deemed a terrorist and he's not going to release a terrorist into our country. But they're so stupid, they can't actually figure that out. They can't process the information. It is a remarkable thing, you guys. And these are the people in Congress that are going to tell you how to run your business. They're dictating where your tax dollars are going, which totally makes sense as to why we're almost $37 trillion in debt, because these are the people that are telling you what to do with your money through the purse of Congress. It totally makes sense why these nut jobs racked up the bill, because they're stupid. These politicians are, should I say, I'm not going to say the R word because I don't know if that's acceptable anymore, but it's stupid. They are dumb. The Trump administration has accused Garcia, who illegally entered the United States, got permission to stay in 2019. Oh, I don't care. Well, they gave me permission of being an MS-13 violent gang member? Really? Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that was your permission. Garcia's attorney have reportedly denied there is evidence of such a claim. Well, he's illegal. They're making it around this whole idea that he's just a gang member. It's just he's an MS-13 gang member, one of the most violent gangs on the planet that we live on, this rock that we live on, but one of the most violent gangs ever. He's still an illegal immigrant. Explain that one to me. Let's just remove the fact that he's a gang member. He's an illegal immigrant. The Supreme Court issued a ruling last week that said the government must facilitate but not necessarily effectuate Garcia's return amid a legal battle. Facilitate, but not necessarily effectuate. So Donald Trump technically might not have to do it. Might not have to do it. And, this was also echoed by Dinesh D'Souza, who's one of the greats, by the way. He said this on X: the Supreme Court said facilitate, not effectuate. That means allow it to happen versus make it happen. Just allow it to happen if it does. So if El Salvador does not want to send him back, then he's not coming back. If El Salvador does want to send him back, you have to allow it to happen. But the brain not working. The guy is a citizen of El Salvador, and they decided what happens to him. He's staying in his own country, and that outcome is consistent with their laws. And by the way, our laws too. I don't understand why this is difficult. I really don't. Was this guy kicked in the head as a kid? And then he just worked hard and made it to the highest levels. I told you, I'm going to repeat this again. It always works out. I don't know why. If you're an idiot and a dum-dum and stupid and you're in the Democrat Party, I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's possible that you get elevated to the highest levels of office, to the office of the presidency in that party. It doesn't happen in the Republican Party. I love how they always say Donald Trump's a dub-dub. He doesn't know what's going on. Donald Trump's a billionaire for decades. And by the way, all of you thought, including me too, and everybody else thought the guy was a genius for the vast majority of his life. Like 90% of his life, everybody thought he was an utter genius for being a billionaire. The guy has businesses everywhere. He was in movies. He had a hit TV show. Everybody wanted to do business with him, which is still the case, by the way. But all of a sudden, he's just stupid. What have you ever created? So if he is stupid, what does that make you? That's my question. Yeah, no, the guy's dumb. He doesn't know nothing. Yet the guy that's saying that is drooling into a drip tray. It's only remarkable. It's always the stupid people calling other people stupid. And by the way, that goes for me. I'm stupid as well. I don't know if I'm as stupid as this guy. Definitely not as stupid as Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer. Or really many Democrats for that matter. Well, the vice president did something a little bit silly yesterday, and I don't blame him. It was actually pretty funny. It just shows you how cheap these trophies are. J.D. Vance has the Ohio State University football team at the White House. The trophy broke on him. Now, he didn't break it. It just fell apart in his hands. I'm not even so sure he actually had it fully in his hands yet. But it's not like the Stanley Cup. You know, in hockey, we have the greatest trophy of all time. There is no trophy that's better than the Stanley Cup. If there is, you name one, because I don't know of one. It's like the holy grail of sport trophies. That has been dropped, by the way, many of times. It's been dented and it's been fixed. This is a cheap trophy because right here, you're going to see that it's going to break, and it ain't his fault. By the way, luckily they didn't fall on somebody's foot because that actually looked heavy. He's like, oh, shit. I love JD. And then the Democrats, I'll even put their narrative out there. Oh, how stupid is he? Look at how he can't even hold a trophy. What an idiot. How embarrassing for our country. These young men worked so hard for that trophy, and he just went and he just doesn't go break it. You know, the big goof broke it. What an idiot. But, you know, no responsibility on the manufacturer for actually building a trophy for a college team that has actually built correctly. God forbid you build something stable. But, you know, some people, it's probably made in China. It's probably made in China. This is Chinese, right? China probably made this. Look at this garbage product. Yep. It's China. But in all, I think it was actually made in America, but we have Phil Wegman. Here we go. Philip did come in. So our boy, Philip Wegman of Real Clear Politics weighs in. We love Phil, by the way. Actually, am I not following Phil? I got to follow Phil after this. The trophy was made in America by UAP Polt Talix in New York. The award is two separate pieces, the trophy and the base, with the idea being that the trophy is what's held aloft, not the base. Oh, so he didn't break it. It was already just two separate pieces. Okay. Shout out to Phil here for giving the people the facts. And by the way, are we following Phil? We are not following Phil. We're following him now. Love that. Phil's one of the greats. Phil is one of the greats. Let's go to the chat really quick. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody's donations. If you didn't donate, that's okay. Just sometimes I want to make sure that I don't miss it. Piece of crap trophy. It really is. But Americans made it. Americans made it. Oh, Philip followed me back. Hi, Phil. Hey, guys, give a shout out to Phil. Phil might be seeing this right now. We are big fans of our boy Phil, one of the gladiators. By the way, Phil, if you're seeing this, you deserve a front row seat, my friend. Front row seat. But give a shout out to Phil in the chat, folks, over there on X. Follow him right here. He's a good looking guy. He's actually one of the guys that actually looks like a reporter, by the way. The guy could go into any movie and be a reporter, and he's one of the greats. Really is. And by the way, I don't know if he's a Democrat or Republican. Personally, I don't care. The guy's just one of the best in the room. I've watched enough White House press briefings over 4 years, every week, multiple times a week for that matter, to know who's good and who isn't. He's one of the best. Top 3 easy. Maybe top 2. Alrighty, getting into some other news here. Harvard wants to play hardball, and I'm okay with having this happen. Harvard rejects Donald Trump's demands as the White House considers yanking billions, and not like $1 billion. And I'm saying that with a B, you guys, not with an M, in federal funding. Harvard University said Monday, get this, this is one of the most bonkers things you're going to read all day. Buckle up. Harvard University said on Monday, it's crazy. I actually read this first little paragraph here yesterday. Said on Monday that it would not comply with Donald Trump's demand to dismantle, listen carefully, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and do more to curb student anti-Israel protests. But Donald Trump's terrible. Hey, can you leave the Jews alone on campus? No, we can't. Okay, well, if you don't, I'm going to remove $9 billion from federal funding. That's okay. Our university systems hate the Jews so much and want to allow diversity, equity, inclusion to happen so hard that they are willing to skip out on $9 billion. And this goes with what I've been saying for years. It's not about the money. It's about the narrative of promulgating this stuff, indoctrinating your kids from freaking K through 12 into the college system. So they come out like this lady here that looks like the bird lady from Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, with pigeons all over her, bird crap. The Trump administration is currently reviewing a $9 billion in federal funding that Harvard receives and could move to cut those funds after the university's pushback. Why are we giving universities $9 billion at all? Why are we giving them $1 billion? What the hell? Go make your own. You got people paying through the roof for college. Have that be and fund itself. Earlier this month, the Trump administration sent a list of demands to Harvard, including banning masks at protests and gutting DEI on campus. Last week, you know why? Because we want to figure out who's actually committing the crimes. Because the progressive left, these psychos, don't have any cojones to walk around without a mask on. Because they're cowards. They're cowards at the end of the day. These are the same people that if we were to go to war would probably flee to China or Mexico because they're too much of pussies to fight for their own country. Because they hate this country, but yet they're willing to live in this country. Let that one kind of marinate for a bit. Last week, the Trump administration specified that it wants Harvard to abolish anti-Israel student groups and expel students who were involved in altercations during the 2023 anti-Israel protests on campus. Harvard shot back on Monday with its president, Garber, writing, "No government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue." Completely agree, by the way. 100% agree with Harvard. You don't need any of my tax dollars then. 0 tax dollars should be going to any universities. Done. Private ones. See ya. Peace. Like tomorrow, I don't even know why Donald Trump needs to even like think about it. I don't. You want to be a private institution? Go right ahead. Do whatever you want. Absolutely. By the way, a lot of Jews graduate from Harvard and a lot of firms are ran by Jews. So don't hire from Harvard. Don't hire from Columbia. Don't hire from any of the Ivy Leagues, by the way, which is great for those that go to state school. It's great for those that aren't going to Harvard or in the Ivy Leagues. You might be ahead of everybody else from the Ivy Leagues now. You never thought it would happen, but you might have been dealt a great hand because you got idiots now like Allen up there at Harvard that doesn't have their head on straight because it's shoved just so far. You can't see it now, but the president of Harvard's head is actually somewhere in here. You wouldn't believe it, but it is. Somewhere in here, you got to go really far in that colonoscopy to really see and find Allen's head. Maybe his entire body. It's somewhere in here. Oh, you can't see it. I'm sorry. Here, no. Let me get out of the frame. There you go. You see that? Allen's head's in there somewhere. Yep. Big old booty. A big old booty. We have a good time here, do we not? Do we not have a good time here? Yeah, somebody's putting the faces. Whoever hits the faces, I can see it. You go down the little chat thingy. I look so tiny down here. We whistle while we work. All right. Well, that's that. So Harvard's going to lose out on $9 billion. You want to be a private corporation, private company, private school? Well, I don't care. Just stop taking our tax dollars. You either want to be public or you want to be private. You get to decide. Stop sending them money. It's easy. It's like that. They're indoctrinating people. So judge has green light Doge access to Treasury despite complaints from blue state attorney generals. Oh, it's always the blue states, huh? See, it's the blue states that can't pass an audit, like the state of California that just miraculously is losing billions of dollars. Go figure. After, by the way, sitting down and doing a budget. I want to be clear. California is in a deficit after multiple times sitting down and doing the budget. The numbers don't work. A federal judge on Friday ruled that the Department of Government Efficiency may access sensitive systems in the Department of Treasury after a weeks-long battle. D.C. Judge Jeanette Vargas said that one member of the DOJ team may access sensitive payment and data systems at Treasury as long as the member undergoes training. The member, Ryan Wunderly, would also need to submit a financial disclosure. Vargas's Friday ruling came nearly 2 months after she blocked DOJ from the systems amid a legal challenge from blue state attorney generals. God, for, all of a sudden they care about your information and they're all sensitive about it. But yet Joe Biden allows classified documents to sit in his garage right next to his Corvette and then comes out and tells us that it's more secure than Fort Knox, which I guess now we got to start questioning how secure is Fort Knox if somebody's garage is more secure than that. By the way, Joe Biden was so known to have classified documents everywhere that when he went to Ireland, there was classified documents in the street of Ireland when he went there on tax dollars, taxpayer dollars. Yep. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Now, it wasn't his fault. To be fair, it actually was not his fault. It was classified documents from the Ireland side of things. But it's just wherever he goes, he's just falling everywhere. And documents are falling out of his pockets, basically. The court hereby modifies the PI order to permit defendant to grant Ryan access to Treasury Department payment records, payment systems, and other data systems maintained by the Treasury Department. So buckle up, because we hope Ryan can be the hero we need him to be and find all the corruption that's going on in the Treasury, because there's a lot of corruption taking place. And this is what Democrats are saying. Giving the world's richest man unauthorized access to our nation's central payment system and our most sensitive personal information puts all Americans and the essential funds they depend on at risk. Aren't we at risk that we're $37 trillion in debt, you nut job, with over $1 trillion of interest payments? Wouldn't that put us at risk as well? And by the way, the guy ran PayPal. He had all our information, you idiot. God, these people are stupid. She's also in here. Yeah, big booty. She's also in the booty. It ain't just that guy. It's not just Alan. Boom, 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 boom. It's all the attorney general. They're in the booty. They're in the booty. They're all in there. This booty's so big. The entire Democrat Party's in there. Look at that. You can hear them. Help us, get us out of here. We love this booty. You can hear them in there. They're screaming. Freaking crazies. With the illegal powder grab, Musk and Doge are trying to wipe out vital programs and services from healthcare to public safety to education that our communities need. If it's happening right now, does anybody notice any of it happening? By the way, I'm in education and I'm looking around going, well, it was already a dumpster fire before. Nothing's changed. By the way, not even adding gasoline onto the dumpster fire. Education's just done. If you think education's coming back, education is done. It's already rock bottom. It's kaput. It needs a complete revamping. The public education system and private is done. Kaput, capiche. Like the communities need. See, when I hear the word communities, go talk to your mayor. Okay, don't go talk to the federal government for your problems. Go talk to your mayor. Go talk to your congressman. Go talk to your governor, your senator of your state. It's your community. I'm not your community. Why are my tax dollars of a tune of $9 billion going to Harvard? And by the way, it's the same thing for you guys. Why are your tax dollars coming to the state of California? I don't think that's the case. You have nothing to do with California. Some of you do because you live here, but you know what I mean. So that's everybody's question. Why am I paying for somebody else's bill in somebody else's state? But that's what the Democrats love, taking your money. You want to know why they love it? You want to know why? Because they love socialism. And socialism takes money from you because you have it and they don't. And because they don't have it, you're an a-hole. because you're an a-hole and evil scumbag because you oppress them in some way, shape, or form. Some figure out there, some nameless, faceless, shadowy figure, oppress them in some way, shape, or form. Well, now they're going to steal your money and give it to them so they can have equity. They can have equality of outcome. That's one thing a socialist will never take from you is your job. Remember that. A socialist, a Democrat will never take your job from you because you're going to have to pay for their standard of living. I walk away to get coffee and got Brad in my earbuds. I almost spilled my coffee. You could do that for every Ivy League school and realize they don't need government money because they get all that philanthropic money plus tuition. Exactly. Yep. It's my life goal to get my FBI and NSA agents to either be radicalized or, oh, I can't say that, Dave. Jesus. Dave, simmer down over there on Rumble. Oh, Lordy. Dan says, one city controls the whole state of Washington. Central Washington gets the sour end of state government policies. That is true. The last comprehensive audit of Fort Knox Gold Reserve was in 1953. Since then, there have been brief inspections, such as the one in 1974. Yeah, and there's pictures of them doing that inspection. And, well, I can't rely on these politicians to know the difference between a gold bar and a brick, a painted brick. They know they're idiots, so they just paint the stuff. Oh, we're going to fool these guys. I don't trust anybody that has $37 trillion in debt. I don't trust these politicians. By the way, I don't even trust Trump that much. I like the guy. Again, I'm going to say this again. But it's a rule of thumb for myself that politicians, and Trump is a politician right now, to do the bidding of the American people. And he is doing it. But if I'm not going to put trust in a guy I don't even know. I've never met the guy. But I trust this booty. All righty. I think we'll end it there. We have more news to cover, but we're going to be back here at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'm going to say this again. I really want you guys to join me because I go on vacation. I'm not going to be here for a week. Thursday, I don't even know if I'll have a show Thursday. What's today? Today Tuesday? Yeah. So Thursday, we may or may not have a morning show. But I'll most likely will go on vacation Thursday. If we have a morning show, it'll be a surprise if we do. But I plan on going on vacation starting Thursday. So today and tomorrow are the last 2 days for an entire week, a week and a half. You're not going to see me, and I'm going to freaking miss you guys. So I'd really love for you guys to join me tonight during Dark MAGA. Come hang out if possible. We'll have a morning show tomorrow. And then, well, we're gone for a week and a half. The longest vacation I've ever taken in my entire life, actually. So it's going to be weird. It's going to be really weird. But I appreciate all of you. Look forward to seeing you this evening for Dark MAGA. It's going to get spicy and it's going to get rowdy. You thought this was rowdy. You thought the booty was rowdy. But it's going to get a little bit more crazier here tonight. 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That'd be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those that need it. And we'll take care of one another. Pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. And he doesn't have any. He doesn't have any. But anyways, thank you so much. See you later, Patriots. See you later.